Hey guys, so I just want to quickly say before the video / class starts, please, 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 for the love of your body, do not spring your arms up when you're coming down into your splits, especially if you are about 2 yoga blocks distance away from the ground. Until your uppermost thigh and your uppermost glute on the opposite side is officially touching the ground, you can comfortably sit on the ground, which is quite ironic to say considering it's not the most easiest or comfortable posture to get into in the first place. For the most part, for as long as you are being nice and gentle with your body, coming down appropriately with the right amount of stretching, if you are still elevated off the ground, especially your crotch, glute, hamstring, calf region, please do not spring your arms up like this, obviously, in regards to just playing around. Once you are officially down on the ground, then you can get playful with your arms. So you can lean back and grab your hind foot, you can lean forward and cuddle your front leg or something. Obviously, as you're coming down, your legs will be very tense, be very resistant. Coming into the splits will definitely feel very invasive and foreign. As you're coming on your way down, you will definitely be very tense, very rigid, and you will be resistant against coming down to the splits. For me, coming down onto my right side was actually, I got my splits in one on the first try on the right side, but on the left, it was definitely a lot more resistant. And don't mind the little shit right there, so cute. You will definitely find yourself being very, very resistant as you come down. Some days will be better than others, other days will be worse than others, because your muscles are freaking out and they've been exposed to a whole new stretch that they've never experienced before. There's nothing to worry about, but whilst you're coming down on the first try or your first few tries, do not spring your arms up. For every other yoga video I ever watched, just any individuals who were just getting into the splits and they were like a yoga block distance away from the ground and they sprung their arms up, you can cause your muscles a little strain. I mean, you're already feeling a strain as you're coming down. You don't want to add to it because then you have to wait even longer for the muscles to heal. And then you have to wait even longer to heal, and once you heal, you got to re-stretch out again, starting from the start. I did tweak a muscle on my left inner thigh a little bit. I still did every other warm-up stretch in preparation for the split, but I just skipped out on the actual split, but focused on my right side while my left leg healed. So like I said, once you are officially down, I'm really sorry about the breeze starting to cut into your audio. I'm trying to talk in between each breeze. Once you are officially down, you're just about sinking into your mat, then you can get playful with your arms and flail your limbs or whatever. But whilst you're still up and still coming down, do not flail the limbs and do not push your luck. When it comes to every other warm-up stretch, do not feel like you're banned from doing the splits just because you can't really sink your way into a different type of stretch. You're stretching in the splits is a different posture versus any other stretch. You're just targeting multiple different perspectives of muscles to target the intercostal muscles, meaning the muscles closest to the bone, so that way you can sink down easy peasy. It will take probably a couple of weeks depending on your flexibility range, and not just with skin tissue or muscle alone, it also definitely comes down to your bone structure. Your bone structure will definitely determine on what more yin-like posture you'll be able to sink into fully and effectively. But it is also not about how you look in the posture, aesthetic wise or otherwise. It's always about how you feel in yoga. So with that amount of disclaimer out the way, it took me 2 months to get my splits, especially on both sides, especially since I had to wait on the left side for the muscles to heal. It was just a strained muscle. But do not feel your limbs when you're down or coming down. By all means, reach your arms up when you've officially are seated on the ground in the splits. So this was my long, lengthy disclaimer. It's so important that you take it easy coming down to the splits. It will take a minute, it will take a couple of months, for just maybe like a couple of weeks, depending on your flexibility range, and again, depending on your bone structure. Some people can manage, other people can't because of the compression with bone on bone. Your muscles and your legs will not move any further because bone on bone have made contact. You reach your limits. Even if you're just at 1 pesky inch away from the ground with whatever position you're trying to achieve legs wise. So this stretching flow will definitely target a lot of the hamstring muscles and the hip flexor, inner division of your hips, especially since those are the muscles that you want to target the most to really effectively come down. But you also want to warm up your muscles before any of that. Warmer muscles equals being able to stretch out a lot more effectively and correctly. You do not want to rig your muscles coming down, and don't just for the splits, but generally. So please be very aware, be mindful, and be very, very respectful towards your body coming down into intense yin yoga-like postures, especially with the splits. Once you're down, you can hold it for as long as you want. Usually a minute to 2 minutes is, a standard amount of time to hold the posture, but then come back up, safely come back up, and then just give your muscles a rest. If you're getting your splits, it is better to practice each day with a follow-up routine first before the splits, but then once you've officially got them, you can ease back out and do them less and less and less, unless of course you're a gymnast, then obviously you're going to be practicing frequently with whatever else you're doing. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this disclaimer, all the above reasons why I take your splits so seriously and so carefully. Do hope you enjoyed the class and or just the viewing process of it. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I shall see you for the rest of my videos. Bye bye.
Have patience with all things, but first of all with yourself. St. Francis de Sales. In this class, we will be focusing on deep, intense stretches that will help benefit to helping achieve the splits. So when you're ready, grab your mats, grab your water, and let's begin. Alright my friends, we're starting out with some hip mobility warm up. Just going to lift up your knee and kick outwards and back down again on both sides, just alternating sides. From here, coming into chair squats, you're going to lower down with your hips close to your heels, pressing your knees outwards just slightly, but we are keeping a narrow stance in the feet. This is definitely going to help warm up our leg muscles. The warmer your muscles are, the better chance you have of stretching them out correctly. So now we're coming down to our mats, however you see fit. You can pre-grab your toes like I'm going to do, or you can lay down first on your back and then grab your toes. Either way, we're coming into a narrow happy baby, but we're instantly stretching out through our hamstrings and calves. Then we're bending back through the legs, and then extending. As you extend, your toes come closer to your head as you bend. So your knees should be close to your chest. From here, now we're coming into a regular happy baby. Your feet should be beach ball width apart from each other. Knees as close to the mat as you can get. Your head and shoulders are relaxed. We're just going to hang out here for a few breaths. Feel free to rock gently side to side if that feels good in the lower back. Otherwise it's just stillness you're after every chance you can get it. By all means, stay still. Now I'm adjusting my grip onto the insides of my feet because we're coming into our extended happy baby. Straightening through your legs as much as you can. And same thing with the first stretching exercise. You're going to bend your legs back in again and then re-extend out into extended happy baby. This is definitely an amazing one for double take inside thighs. So straighten and then bend. I'm just readjusting my grip. You might find yourself readjusting your grip frequently. That's perfectly fine. And once again, if you want to rock back and forth. So now we're just holding our extended baby. Just holding, extending and breathing. We're stretching out our inner thighs at the same time. Both sides at once. So now keeping your left leg bent, relieving your right leg, interlocking your fingers and then straightening through your left leg. You're going to flatten your foot, But then as you point your foot, you're going to bring your leg closer to your head, and when you relieve your left leg a little bit, you're going to re-flex your foot. As your leg comes closer to you, you point your toe. As it's away from you, you flex your foot. This is definitely an amazing way to stretch out your left hamstring and thigh at 2 different angles. So at your own pace, pay your own breathing, bring your forehead to your shin, but more importantly, your leg closer to your head. Now switching out legs, bending in your right leg first, interlocking fingers, and then straightening through. Flexing your foot when it's away from you, pointing your foot when you're closer to your leg. I'm just going to do this a couple more times. You don't actually have to bring your forehead to your shin, that's just optional. But for the most part, you definitely want to bring your leg closer to your chest. Lifting your head up to your shin is just for bonus points. Now relieving both legs. We're grabbing your left foot on the inside, coming into an outwards iron cross. Kind of like an extended single leg happy baby. You're going to use your right arm as like an anchor, so shifting all of your weight into your right arm as your left leg sinks away from you. Don't worry about what your right leg is doing. Coming back through the center and switching the grip, you're going to reach your right hand on the outside of your left foot, either coming into T-band stretch, where you're going to reach your left foot halfway across your chest, and or a full extended iron cross, a more official iron cross, where in this case your left leg comes all the way across and reaches to the ground, as best as you can manage. You don't have to worry about anchoring down either of your arms, but also just make sure that your right leg in this case is nice and straight, and get as much of a straight left leg as you can. Coming back through the center, and now switching out legs. This time, right hand, right foot, coming all the way out to an outward iron cross. This time you're going to shift all of your weight into your left arm, and allow your right foot to sink as far away as you can. We're still focusing on the inner thigh, just more individually this time. Once again, don't worry about what your left leg is doing. Just breathe nice and easy as your right foot sinks as close to the ground as you can get it. Back through the center, switching at the grip, left hand outside of right foot. Once again, T-band stretch for option, or coming into a full-on iron cross. The T-band one is just in case that this particular posture is too much, is too intense for you, but otherwise if you can absolutely manage it, it is definitely amazing for the outermost glutes closer to the outside thigh of your leg. Try to keep your left leg in this case a lot more straight. So if you need to, you can have a subtle bend in your left knee. Just also try to make sure that your right leg is quite straight in the knee, but a micro bend is completely fine. Coming back through the center, and sitting upright in an easy seated pose. We're coming into our fire log posture on our left side. So once you eventually make your way over to the center of your mat, you're going to hoist your left foot on top of your right knee. If you're still all the way upright and your knee is sky high, focus on pushing your knee down gently to begin with. But as you sink your way forward, however far down you can manage, you might find that your knee sinks a little bit further down as you lean forward. You can try to reach your hands forward. You can even try to get your forehead to the ground, but you'll find your limits as you go along. I'm going to hold this posture for a minute. If at any point you feel a sharp shooting pain in your glute or in your hips, ease back out of the posture and re-find a position that works well for you. Absolutely making sure that you're bending from the hips and not the lower back. Gently rising up and shifting your left foot off your right knee as gently as you can. We're coming into windshield wipers, nice and gentle micro movements to begin with. Then as we gain a bit more momentum and more fluidity, you're then going to exaggerate the movements as wide as you like, just to lubricate especially the left hip. So now we're going to continue the windshield wiper motion, but we're just focusing on the left hip. So just sway your left leg back and forth. And now we're switching out fire log sides, this time working on our right side. So bringing your right foot on top of your left knee. For me, this is my more open, less resistant side. I'm a lot more open on my right hip. As you can see, my knee comes down instantly even when I was still sitting upright. So now I'm just leaning forward. I just had to add a little bit more of a bend in the elbow just to intensify the stretch. It still felt very simplistic to me, but you never know just how much of a stretch you're actually giving your body, especially closer towards the intercostal muscles. This is what you think you're feeling. So no matter what you're feeling, no matter how far forward you're leaning, breathing deeply, allowing your glute muscle to open up, your hip bones to relax, to creating some more space for yourself. You can absolutely adjust around half a dozen times until you really find that juicy spot, but more importantly, finding a tolerable position. Now coming on up, once again, slowly easing your foot off your knee. Going to come into those windshield wipers again. Swaying both knees, micro movements to begin with. But then as you gain some more fluidity in the right hip this time, going to exaggerate the movements as much as you like. And now just loosening up the right hip. So now we're adjusting our way into our first downward dog of the flow. Adjusting yourself accordingly. Feet hip width distance, fingers spread and engaged, elbows down to the mat, sternum anchors its way down to the mat. Then you're going to gently walk out your downward dog, bending one knee at a time, just to get some stretch and mobility in the hips and the stretch in the hamstrings and calves. From here, kicking your left leg up to the sky, Straight as you can, but bonus points for as high as you can. Bending at the left knee and drawing some circles with your knee. Once again, we're opening up our left side hip from a different angle. Now from here, kicking your left leg forward, all the way forward into a high lizard lunge. We're just saying a high active lizard lunge. So keeping your right knee off the mat and now sinking your right knee to the mat. So we're coming into an official low lizard lunge. This is definitely going to be an amazing one for the hips, for the hip flexor, and definitely for the left hip. You might even feel it in your left inner thigh. By all means, you can either stay up on your hands if the original posture is more than enough for you, with your knee anchored away and your left foot on the knife's edge, or you can come on down to your elbows. If you still want to come down to your elbows but the ground's too far away, absolutely use props, but if you can make it down, join me down into full lizard. You can rock side to side too if you like, if it helps to loosen up a little bit more, encourage for a deeper stretch, or just embellish in the stillness. But definitely making sure to breathe your way through this posture. It's an intense one. Coming on up, back up to your hands, walking your left foot into the center of your mat, returning your left hand on the outside of your left foot, so we're automatically in a low Sprinter Lunge. Right now we're automatically working at our right hip flexor, keeping your upper body nice and tall. Now shifting your weight back into your half split. This is going to encourage a deep stretch in our hamstring and calf, making sure that your hips is over your knee. You can also flex your left foot for an additional stretch. Try to keep your back as straight as you can, but it's inevitable that there will be a natural arch, especially closest to the shoulders. And now shifting your weight back forward into your Sprinter Lunge, keeping your upper body nice and tall, gently pressing your hips to the ground to encourage a deep stretch in your right hip flexor. Shifting your way back again into your half split. You can also bring your forehead to your shin if you like. Now grabbing your yoga blocks. If you're not here for the splits part of the video, stay in your half split, but if you do want to join in on the fun part, the whole purpose of this video, using the yoga blocks if you like, slowly and gently, with ease and control, sink your way down into your splits. Adjusting back and forth, adjusting 1,000 times over, making sure that your hips are centered, as square as possible. It is still natural that your hips might be a little bit off center. As you officially come down, if you come down on the first try or several tries later, and you notice that you're still leaning a bit far forward, make sure that your hands are in line with your hips, like just in front of your hip bones. Making sure that your upper body is nice and tall, so chest shines ahead of you. Anchor your head back as well to really encourage for your upper body to stay upright. Yours generally tends to be a aesthetic posture, but it's definitely an intense one as far as a yin posture goes. So breathing your way through this posture is definitely one of those how you feel versus how you look type of postures. And try not to feel discouraged if you're still inches off the ground. It took me 2 months just to get my full splits on both sides. Of course, on my right side I came down instantly, but on my left side was a lot more resistance. So I'm just adjusting a few times over. It's only because my pants by choice were a bit slippery for my mat, so my legs started to relieve a bit. And now we're coming back on up, adjusting your way up as many times as it takes, digging your toes into the ground or onto your mats just to shift your way all the way back up to your half split. But then we're transitioning instantly into a Sprinter Lunge. Just hanging out here for a very brief moment, just for one breath. And now kicking our way up into a forward fold, just to neutralize our hips. From here, rising halfway, and then gently stepping or walking your way back into your downward dog. So now we're prepping for the other side. So just hold your downward dog for a brief moment and absolutely feel free to walk it out just to gain some more mobility in the hips. And just to re-stretch out your legs, despite the intense stretch we were just in. And now rising your right leg up to the sky, high as you can, bonus points for as straight as you can. Now drawing some circles with your right knee, just to once again lubricate and soften up our right hip. From here, kicking your right leg forward, so we come into an active Highland Lizard. And now relieving your left knee to the ground and coming into a low lizard, a more official lizard. So aiming your right knee away from you and coming onto the last edge of your right foot. Either stay up on your hands per choice or coming down to your elbows. If you want to come down onto your elbows but the ground's far away, you can absolutely use yoga blocks or bolsters or rolled up material. And I always choose to do a little bit of a sway in the hips just to encourage looser muscles and a running theme to lubricate my hip joints. So just making sure that your knee is falling away from you, that you're on the nice edge of your toes, of your feet. Try to keep your back as straight as you can, pressing through the hips. Rising back up and automatically bringing yourself into low Sprinter Lunge to encourage a stretch now through the left hip flexor. Shifting your weight back into your half split. The flex toe is completely optional, as well as bringing your forehead down to your shin, but definitely make sure that your hip is directly above your left knee in this case. Shifting your way back into your low Sprinter Lunge. Shifting your weight back again into your half split. If once again you're not actually interested in a splits part, stay here in your half split. But if you are here for the purpose of this class, grabbing your yoga blocks and sinking your way as gently and as graciously and respectfully towards your body and what it's ready for as you can, sinking your way down into your splits, however far off the ground you are. Once you are officially down, however many tries it is taken, you can then set your yoga blocks aside, keeping your hands in line with your hip. Also, for an elegant touch, you can absolutely point to your front toe, but you can definitely keep a flexed foot for an additional stretch through the calf, especially your front leg. And if you are all the way down with no further way to go, by all means you can get playful with the upper body, with the hind leg, the arms, laying on your front leg, but I just personally chose to stay upright for as long as we were here. I did keep running to the first world problem annoyance of my pants being a tad slippery from my mat, so constantly having to adjust to make sure that my hind leg stays center of mat, which is the same rule for pigeon pose. So now we're going to adjust, leaning back a little bit and swinging your left leg around, and then laying down and alternating hugging one leg at a time into our chest, just to once again give the hips a bit of a break and bring them back to a neutral. Now grabbing in both knees, just gonna hug ourselves for a job well done. So once again, if you skipped out on the actual splits part, reward yourself with how well you persevere through the intensive stretches. If you did give the splits a try, no matter how far down you came, you gave it a shot, and if you came down all the way as the first try, just reward yourself with a nice, gentle, comforting hug. And now we're just rolling our knees out, little circles encouraged by our hands. Circles in one direction followed by the other direction. And now from here coming into a left side spinal twist, just to stretch out the spine. Going to look over your left shoulder. You're going to anchor your left knee across, using your right arm to weigh your leg down. And now switching out sides, shifting your hips over a bit, so that your right knee now has plenty of room to reach across. You're looking over your right shoulder. Your left hand is now weighing down your right knee. And whatever your hind bottom leg chooses to do, stay straight or a subtle bend. Now coming back into center, going to grab on both our feet and return back to a happy baby, just to make sure that our hips are staying nice and open. One final stretch for the inner thighs as well. So I just chose to give a little rock here to massage my lumbar spine, making sure there's a beach ball width space between our feet. And now relieving our feet, relieving our legs down into a nice, easy, well-earned Shavasana corpse pose. Feet are hip width distance, and if you're outside and on the ground like me, flop your hands outside of your mat so that you're connecting back with earth. Just officially allow your whole body to release any residual tension. There definitely shouldn't be any more tension left in the legs after all this. And now whenever you're ready, rolling over into a fetal position. Just as much when you're ready, coming up into a regular seated pose. Just gonna chill out here for one moment. And now I'm going to do some seated sun salutations, reaching our hands up to the sky, prayer hands. Once more, reaching up to the sky, prayer hands. And third time's a charm. Deep inhale, hands to prayer. Thank you all so much for stretching, flowing, whether it be by the purpose of this class, or otherwise you just wanted to enjoy some nice deep yin yoga like stretches. Thank you so much for flowing if you chose to flow along. If this class was even for you, give some of the stretches a try. And yes, we do have a new addition to our family, Jules. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I shall see you in the rest of my videos. Namaste.